Clickjacking. And okay, my name is Marco Balduzzi, and I'm also known as mByte in the internet web community. And I actually work in South France for a research lab called AppSec lab. And we actually run applied research in web security, in privacy, and in topics like botnet detection, and malware analysis. So this work has been done together with Manuel Egeli, Engin Kirda, Davide Balzarotti, and Christopher Krugel. And we present our research a couple of months ago in China in a conference called AsiaCCS. And this is a kind of follow-up of what we did. So why we are talking about clickjacking? We are talking about clickjacking because clickjacking is actually a very recent web threat and has been in fact introduced by Robert Hansen and Jeremy Grossman in September 2008. And the idea behind clickjacking is that one of building a malicious web page that trick the user into performing unintended clicks. Okay, and this kind of clicks can be then reused by the attacker to propagate worms, steal confidential information like password and cookies, send spam, delete personal emails, and so on. Clickjacking has attracted broad attention by the security industry and the web community. That's why it's of interest for us in studying this particular web vulnerability. So the objective of our research has been to determine the prevalence of clickjacking on the internet. I'm going a bit in detail into what is clickjacking and how usually is deployed. So I would take as example what is called the Twitter bomb. The Twitter bomb is actually one of the first clickjacking example that has been presented to the internet. And actually, a Twitter bomb is a self-replicating message that is tweeted all over different users by using clickjacking. Okay, and clickjacking here is done by abusing of some HTML featured. In particular, the use of transparent iframe. So as you see in the slide, so there is everything starts by visiting the profile of a friend of you that has a link on their page. So when you visit that page, actually, you see a button, and the button is written "Don't click." But actually, when you are clicking on this button, you are actually clicking on your Twitter profile, and you are updating your status with the link of this page. So actually what you are doing when you click that button is clicking on the update button of your profile, and you are, in this way, spreading this message. So this is actually a totally harmless message, but it's a clear example of clickjacking. And these attacks could have been reused to spread malware, for example, by pointing the site to a drive-by download URL, or to send spam, or even to steal confidential information. There is a reference on the bottom, and there is actually the original paper that talks about these specific attacks. So our approach has been to design and develop an all-in-one solution that combines a testing unit that performs actually the testing of the different web pages, and a detection unit that is able to automatically detect if a page presents this clickjacking attack. Our constraint has been that the tool should be automated, in a sense that it should be able to automate test multiple sequential websites and web pages. And to do so, we instruct the browser to simulate the clicks of the user. Not only the clicks, but also the action that the user can perform on the page, like filling the web form, scrolling the page, and so on. And we also want that the detection is efficient. That's why we develop a custom plugin to detect clickjacking attacks. And we also adopt a well-known plugin that is called NoScript. And we combined these two plugins to have a very efficient detection rate. At the end, we also collect statistics of a page that we visit. So our idea is basically to have, as I say, to have a testing system combined with a detection system. So the testing, how is done the testing? So as you see here, the web page under test is loaded. Okay, so for example, here we are testing this page with some figure. So when the page is loaded, there is a plugin inside the browser that extracts the coordinate of the element of a page. So you have the coordinate, for example, of links, the coordinate of forms, and the coordinate of the image. Okay. In case of image, we actually split this coordinate to have a higher resolution. Then these coordinates are passed to a library that actually work with a graphical system of Unix, what is called Xorg. And this library physically moves the mouse, the cursor of the mouse, all over the screen and clicks. Why we did so? We did so because we want that the click is generated by the graphical interface and not generated by JavaScript events. In fact, at first we were thinking to use automated tools like Selenium that are actually being developed to do this task. But the clicks that are generated by that tool are JavaScript clicks and are not really real clicks. Instead, to test for clickjacking attacks, we should be able to generate clicks from a higher interface in a way that when the click arrives to an element that is not the element that the user is intended to click, in that case, there is a clickjacking attack. So just to come back to our example here, what we did, to summarize, we extract the element of a page, then we send this coordinate to the graphical interface, we move the mouse, we scroll the page, we fill up the form, everything, and then we interact with the page. At the moment when we interact for a page, suppose we are clicking, as you see here, that links that said tour information. So when the tool click there, if this page would have presented an attack, a clickjacking attack, for example, here you can see that there are some message on top of a page. That message are coming from a Gmail account. So this is an example of attack where Gmail is clickjacked by using that page. So when the tool clicks on the links, it's actually clicking on the delete button of your Gmail account. So at that moment, there are two browsers plugins that analyze this click. And wherever there is a clickjacking attacks, you have an alert. Okay? So in this example, you will generate an alert because actually the tool is not clicking on the link, but is clicking on the delete button of your Gmail account. So actually what the user would do here is to delete his personal emails. So this is the tool we design and we develop. And to test it, we ran a set of experiments. What we did as first was to validate the tool on 5 different clickjacking cases. And then we collect a set of data that then we fed into a crawler. Okay, so at the beginning, we collect about 70,000 unique URL and to be tested. And which kind of URL we used? We used the popular sites because we want to test sites that are popular and that users usually surf on, so like Google, Facebook, and so on. So we took the top 1,000 Alexa sites. Then we used the 20,000 MySpace public profile because we believe that social networks are an appealing playground for hackers, at least in the last years. And then we queried the Google and Yahoo for malicious keywords in order to have a possible list of malicious sites. Then we extract URL from an internet database called PhishTank that provide a list of URL that are used for phishing. And the same has been done with malware domains, that is site that provide a list of domains that are used for spread malware. And finally, we assess our Anubis tool database. So in our lab, we have this tool called Anubis that we used to do analysis of binaries. This tool is freely available on the internet, so a lot of software houses and a lot of people send us malwares. So what we do, we analyze these malwares and then we keep the log. So we used this log to extract the list of domain that can be possible malicious. So all this set of sites has been fed into the crawler. The crawler visits this page and extracts a lot of other pages that are linked. So finally, we had about 1 million online internet pages that were spread on 30,000 unique domains. And I think it's a good base of sites. Then what we did with these sites, we wanted to test it. So since they are pretty much, we set up different virtual machines. And by installing this tool on all virtual machines, we were able to scan these 1 million sites in about 2 months. That means that we were able to scan about 15,000 pages per day. And the results are that 92% of visited page embed the content, while the other 8% of the page maybe they were not accessible or they didn't contain any clickable content. And at the end, our tool performed something like 143 million of clicks. And of all these pages, we have some statistics about the frames. Why we collect statistics on frames? Because clickjacking usually is deployed by using transparent iframe. We want to know how many sites has transparent iframe and how many sites have frames in general. So it came out that about 3% of the sites has standard frames, while about 1/3 of them use iframes. So iframes are really used on sites nowadays. By the way, only 0.60% of them were transparent. So just for this statistic, you can already see that probably clickjacking is not so used because only 16% of the pages contain transparent iframes. But let's see. So we have here I'm going to discuss the result of our testing over these million sites. So actually, we identified, as you see here, 2 real-world clickjacking attacks out of the million. And the first one is actually is a click fraud, in where the clickjacking has been used to trick the users into clicking on a transparent iframe that contains a concealed banner. In that way, when the user was interacting with the page, he was actually clicking on a banner, and this banner was bringing money to the attacker. The other case we found was the Twitter attack I showed you at the beginning. And I want to say that now Twitter is not anymore attackable because it implements an anti-clickjacking defense. And actually, this defense, I will talk later, is a JavaScript code that detects whenever the page of Twitter is iframe. And when it's iframed, the Twitter does not render. So it comes with a white page. I have to say that finally we analyzed manually these attacks that we found, and both of them were posted on security-related site. So maybe were example, but we were not aware of them, and we detected automatically. So this proves that the tool works, but in another way that not many clickjacking pages have been found. Regarding the false negative, we had about 130 alerts up of a million for ClickIDS and more than 500 for NoScript. So for NoScript, we categorize 3 different kinds of false positive. The first one are a pop-up that appear in response to a particular event. In fact, when we move the mouse automatically,